Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. Now in my first video review of 2021, I'm reviewing the Bolido X. Now the Bolido X is the latest watch offering from Swiss micro brand Bolido. For those of you who are unaware, Bolido is founded by Pierre Nobs, who used to be the visionary behind the now defunct Ventura watches. So let's take a look at their latest watch offering. So in terms of specification, let's start with the specs. There's sapphire crystal, of course, to protect. It's a very nice curved sapphire crystal to protect the dial from any scratches. However, I don't think there's an AR coating. As you guys can see, it can get a bit reflective at times, especially on the sides. So I think an AR coating would aid future iterations. Water resistant rating is a bit of a bummer as well. It's 30 meters water resistant. That is rated as. And I think a higher water resistant rating, like 100, such as their previous models, would have been a bit more sufficient. You gotta be a bit careful with this one, not to bring it to the pool, not to wear in the shower, that sort of thing. On the flip side, the movement is gorgeous. You can see this is the STP 111 movement. It's a new kid on the block in terms of swift movements, but it's comparable to your ITA 2824 or your Selita SW200. You can see here that it's decorated quite nicely with your pelaging on. Let me see if I put it closer to the camera. You can see that it's decorated quite nicely with your Geneva stripe as well as your blue screws. Now there's a high bit rate of 20,800 Hz, so you can see a very nice smooth sweep of the second hands as it glides across the dial. So that's very nice. I should also mention that Bolido regulates all their movements, so they state that it's between 15 seconds plus minus accuracy. So that's quite commendable given the fact that most micro brands probably wouldn't bother to regulate their movement, especially at this price point. The exhibition case back is made of sapphire as well, so that's a plus too. Now there's also loom on the watch, and I'll pop out a loom shop here. So in case you want to read the watch at night, that shouldn't be an issue. Last but not least, it comes on a number of band options. I have it here in a Milano band, but it comes in a rubber, leather, even exotic camel leather. Now the bands, this Milanese band is very well made, as you guys can see, quite thick as well. So it's not those cheap kinds that you find, with your cheaper watches. So very thick band. Very nicely. There's a nice sheen to it. Let me see, the camera can focus a bit. Yeah, there you go. So there's a very nice sheen to this Milanese band. It's pretty thick as well. So and I think it pairs very nicely with this silver case. However, I have to say that I'm not fond of their pricing. So the pricing on this, the Milanese band, as compared to the default rubber option, the Milanese band costs whooping 129 Swiss francs more. Now, as nice as this band is, I don't think it's worth 129 Swiss francs more than the default rubber option. At that price, I think you can get a very nice handcrafted leather strap, and that's precisely what I advise you to do. Strap pricing seems to be a bit exorbitant to me, and I think that's a shame. But as it stands, the Milanese strap is very nice. Alright, now let's move on to the design portion of the watch. As you guys can see here, there's a very nice panda or reverse panda look. Very eye-catching as well. The Bolido X comes in two dial variants. You have this here, the lock variant, which as you guys can see has a slight rule complication to it, as well as a CD variant which has an internal countdown bezel. Of the two, I think definitely the lock variant, the one with the slight rule, is the more intriguing of the two, and this is the one that I advise you to get if you're interested. Now, slight rule bezels, of course, are not uncommon in horology, right? We see it most iconically in the Breitling Navy Timer. However, while it's uncommon, it's still rather rare. In fact, I'm hard pressed to remember another watch that isn't a Breitling that has a slight rule complication on it, a Swiss automatic watch that has a slight rule complication on it. There are a few cheaper options out there, your Seiko options, your season options, but there are many quartz or solar. If you're talking about Swiss watch with automatic movement, Swiss movement, Breitling is probably the only one that does it. There's a slight rule. So this is where Bolido comes in, I suppose. Now, it's like I said, it's a very eye-catching movement, but it's a very eye-catching dial with a very interesting instrumental slight rule complication. But it's designed beautifully. Unlike, say, the Breitling Navy Timer, which the slight rule complication can make it look a bit messy at times. If you look at it here, it's very clean throughout. There's a very nice minimalist Bauhaus feel even. The slight rule complication does nothing, I think, to mess up the dial. They have kept it really clean and really nice here. Reminds me of perhaps some of the other German, the way some of the other German brands incorporate their complication. For example, Nomos with their wartimer complication, how they have managed to incorporate a rather complicated movement but in a clean manner, and I think that's the same goes for Bolido here, and it's very commendable. That's unlike even again the Navy timer, legibility is not impacted here because of the white tipped hour hands. You can see even the second hand has a nice red tip to it. So yeah, you can see how detailed it is. Even the dead window is black to match the black background. The second hands, the hour and the hour hands are of the perfect length, just to brush that across that inner black dial. Very nicely thought design, very clean, very well. One of the best executed designs I believe I have seen thus far from a micro brand. Of course, as I mentioned, I really love the reverse panda aesthetic. It really just catches your eye, and combined with that slide rule bezel, it really builds for a very unique look. Now, let me now show you how to operate the slide rule. So it has an inner rotating bezel. So unlike your dive watches, there's no clunky bezel. Unlike some of the other watches with slide rules, you don't get an external crown as well. So you operate it through by turning the hidden bezel here. You can see that the bezel portion is this grooved portion here. So you can turn the watch like so to operate a slide rule. Don't ask me how to use a slide rule, you can Google that, but no one really uses it, I suppose. It's meant to calculate your distance, your distance travel over time and sort of thing, but I'm not a pilot, so I wouldn't know. But yeah, that's how I operate it. The bezel, I would say, is bi-directional, so you can operate both sides. It's okay, it's rather nice. It's not the easiest to rotate, but again, like I said, you probably wouldn't actually be using a slide rule complication anytime soon in your daily life. So this is mainly an aesthetic feature, but as it is, I think it's a very, very nice watch. Now onto the case. As you can see, Bolido is famed for their unique case. It's not your typical factory round case. You can see there's some thought built into it. It's really quite an engineering feat. In fact, they have won a couple of awards just for the case design. Another interesting aspect of the watch is the crown at 12 o'clock. It's been, most watches features the crown at 3, but with the crown at 12 again, it makes for a more visually intriguing appearance. Apparently, it also protects the crown from additional damage because the crown at 3, while common, exposes the crown to being banged against the door and things like that, whereas the crown at 12 is in a more protective space, I suppose. So yeah, really a very interesting, unique case design, crown placement as well. Now I must also say, speaking about the case, I love the juxtaposition of textures. So you get like a sandblaster matte finishing here, but like I say, the parts that are able to rotate, the internal bezel, you get like a textured grill aspect here. So you can see the difference between the matte casing as well as the grill portion here. So that's rather nice. Yeah, overall I really love the design of the Bolido watch. Like I said, look at that. Look at how it shines in the camera. Really an eye-catching watch that it's a conversation starter on the wrist. So let me just put this on the wrist and show you guys the wrist roll. Alright, so here it is on the wrist. Look at that. As you can see, it really pops on the wrist, The case size for this, in case you're wondering, is 43mm. Now, 43mm sounds big on paper, but because of its, look at that, it's virtually luckless design, it actually wears more like a 40-41, I would say. Very nice looking watch. Alright, so that concludes my video review of the Bolido X. Hopefully you like this short review. Like I said, I really do like the Bolido brand, and this new latest offering from Bolido is really rather unique, especially with the slide rule. The specifications are great as well. The case design, as typical of Bolido, is very unique. Yeah, it really is a conversation starter on the wrist, and in a micro brand scene that, let's be frank, can't really differentiate the next watch from the last, right? Having a watch that stands out on the wrist that's unique, that one look at it, I know there is a Bolido watch, something different from the rest. I can't really think of any other micro brand watch or even mainstream watch that looks like this, and that's not something that can be said for most micro brand watches. It was really a very unique looking watch in terms of all aspects of its design. Now, my only knock on this is the price. The retail price of this is 895 Swiss francs, starting price if it's on a rubber strap. On this Milani strap, it's well over 1,000 Swiss francs. So the starting price, I think, is a bit steep as compared to the old version of the Bolido watches. So this is the Bolido Halo that I reviewed previously as the habit. This starts at 695 Swiss francs. This, the new Bolido X, starts at 895. So the Bolido X is 200 Swiss francs more expensive than the Bolido Halo that I have on my right here. And you know, look at case design, the specifications are similar, the design language is similar. Really, the only difference is that the Bolido X has the internal rotating bezel for your slide rule communication. Is that worth an additional 200 Swiss francs? I'm not quite sure, and frankly speaking, I don't think so. In my opinion, the pricing is a bit steep, but if you like it, you know, it's a really well engineered, well thought out, well designed watch. If you want the watch, you know, there's an affiliate link down below. It gives you a 10% off automatically if you click on the link and purchase. So after the discount, this is about 800 Swiss francs or about 1,002 Singapore dollars. And I think that's definitely more palatable than the 900 Swiss francs that, you know, Bolido is asking for. If you like the design of the watch, but you know, it's a bit too steep for you, like I mentioned, there is the Bolido Halo, as you guys can see. Very similar in aesthetic to, you know, the Bolido X that we saw, again just without the slide rule bezel. After the discount, this will start at about 600 Swiss francs. So you know, if you're looking for a more value buy, this is it. But I really enjoyed the Bolido X that they have sent me. Again, in terms of uniqueness, the slide rule communication you can't really find it elsewhere as well. So you know, if you're looking for a slide rule watch that's not a Breitling and executed in actually a clean, minimalist, legible manner with great specifications to boot from a Swiss brand, this is the one to beat. Alright, and that's it for today. If you like the video, if you like the review, please do subscribe, like the video, share it. It really means a lot to me. As always, there'll be another video out tomorrow, so see you guys then. Take care, ciao.